Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Diplomacy Timing Window, where the rules are discussed and our opinions don't matter. My name is The Half-Heard.
And I'm Hungry Hippos.
Welcome back to another exciting Twilight Wars Tournament recap. Today we're going to have a look back at games 1 and 2, both of which are completed.
I am very impressed that we're getting some completed 14-point games already. It's a refreshing change of pace from round 1.
Yeah, the nice thing with the 3-player is it's certainly quicker. I mean, but respect for these players because they obviously got it done really quickly, right? Under 4 weeks is pretty great.
Yeah,
for an async game.
They were pretty fun to watch as well.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Why don't I bring up game 1?
So in game 1, we had Bot on the Necro. We had Penu Lidserter on the Sar, and Hunk with some Funk on the Soul.
First thing I see here is a significant lack of SAR.
Yeah, that is quite apparent, isn't it? There are some SAR tokens on the board.
I see a single unit. It's right,
single unit.
Right here on Centauri.
Now, the overall scores here were, if we just to give a heads up, is Necro winning this game. Bot, congratulations, well played, scoring 14 points. And some highlights there. He had all 3 of his secret objectives scored.
Gatekeeper, Rebellion, and Unveil.
Yep. And we'll get into a little more detail on that Unveil in just a bit. We have Sar with 13 points, very close second place. Congratulations on that, Penu. 2 scored secret objectives. And in third, we have Hunk with some Funk, 11 VP. He also had 2 scored secret objectives. He did have the Crown of Amphidia and the Mechatol Rex point. I think he was just lacking in the 2-point objectives. You can see that all the stage 1 publics are scored by everyone.
Yeah, and we'll move to stage 2 here.
Well, we got everybody scoring Galvanize the People, and Necro essentially taking the win by being able to score the centralized galactic trade and getting ahead there.
Yes, he came into some trade goods at the very end there.
Yeah. He also was able to score a Mechatol Imperial point in this last round. Sar did have actually a point from Imperial Rider earlier in the game on the Swords to Plowshares agenda. Predicting 4. And I believe he also got a victory point from Seat of an Empire, winning on the 4 vote on that one. So a couple of, as they call it, guac points.
Is that what it's called, guac? That's new.
That's what I've heard. To me. Yeah, I mean, seems odd. I don't get what guacamole and avocados have to do with Twilight Imperium, but I don't know. Maybe they're growing in plenty on Mechatol. Who knows? So yeah, a lot of action, right? A lot of victory point of and non-objective victory points going around.
Yeah, there was plenty of opportunities for everyone to be scoring points beyond just the objectives, and it was well satisfied.
Definitely. And looking at this map, I kind of liked, so remember all our semi-final games are build map.
Build, yes.
And this one, was pretty balanced when you look at it.
I mean, if I was going to look at it, I'd say Necro started out with a poorer side than Soul or Sar. Sar was well stacked for his scavenge ability. You have Soul here, has pretty good production and influence. Necro,
I mean, not bad, right? The Raron system is pretty high on influence, which is what he needs.
I mean, I don't think Necro needs influence. I think
no,
it's true. I mean, gives them their tokens.
Lodor is pretty solid system, though, right?
It is for sure for single planet, yeah.
Right, you got that single planet space stock is pretty valuable, and yeah, I mean, if you pull up the player info tab there, just wanted to also look at SAR, and you can see he has all the tech, every single one.
I mean, Necro.
Necro, yes, sorry.
Yes.
Necro has all the tech. He's got SAR's tech and Soul's tech, every single one.
So
Down to the neural motivator.
He took chaos mapping from SAR and
advanced carrier from Soul.
Oh, there it is. Yes,
Yeah.
and carrier too. So you have both of them?
Got
What?
both. Yeah. You can't have both, right? And the way it
Yeah, I
works
guess you
is the faction tech will override the base tech.
Yes.
And if you were to lose or if you were to swap the faction tech for something else, you would still retain at least the base upgrade. So
Interesting. Okay.
pretty cool there. And yeah, I guess so. So, pretty balanced map. One thing about the map that was interesting was, they at least had a solid system each. And actually, I was looking back at the log, and everyone essentially put the way you see it right now, all these systems in their slices were almost all the systems they had in hand.
Interesting.
So they very much just played it safe and just put their own systems in their own slice.
The
SAR,
Necro was
like
probably
you pointed
pretty
out.
intelligent for having put the asteroid field way over there.
Probably a good idea.
Instead of next to Mechatol, for example, or even next to their home system.
And yeah, I with SAR having all the double planet systems obviously helped their scavenge economy early on, really strong for them.
Actually, it just occurred to me as a thought experiment. If two players had chaos mapping, it's when you ship. So
it's you can't
whoever gets there
activate
first.
The system.
Yeah.
It's whoever gets there first.
Yeah. Okay.
And before we get into the final round here, I did want to also point out is the fight for Mechatol early on was interesting, where in I guess in the first or second round, SAR put their cruiser over Mechatol, even though they couldn't claim it themselves. They parked a cruiser over, and in an attempt that kept trying to keep Soul from claiming it.
That's interesting. I don't see the value of just parking something over there. I mean, because I suppose if you're stopping someone from just bringing their carrier along and just putting an infantry there, at least that'll stop them from doing that. Yeah, maybe. So in that sense, perhaps. But
and I think that was the early deterrent. And it seemed to be working in SAR's favor for the start.
Okay.
But let's get into this final round. So
yes,
what led us
please.
to what led us to this?
It's red versus blue at this point.
Love that show.
Yeah, so good.
So there was a bit of controversy here. There was SAR had, I believe, a carrier over Centauri Grawl.
Yes,
they played
so I remember
diplomacy
right there.
Yeah, they played diplomacy. Hope on that system, hoping to stay alive.
Yeah.
And then Necro had warfare and used warfare to remove that token. Now at this point,
scary.
Very scary. But the question was SAR, were they threatened enough? Because at this point,
the idea was SAR only had a carrier and this one kind of PDS. The idea was obviously SAR is at 13 points with the ability to score.
There was a
I believe
stage.
it was trade goods.
It was the two tech. It was the two tech, I believe.
Was it the two tech?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the two tech.
It was developed weaponry.
Yeah, and they had a support for the throne.
They had Necros. Yeah, they were at 13 without having scored developed weaponry yet, with Necro support for the throne.
So they were in line to win.
First in initiative.
If they stayed on the map.
Yeah, if they staved off elimination.
Yeah, so that sets the scene for what's about to happen.
Yeah, because then Necro traded, I want to say it was 9 trade goods.
Yes.
It was a disgusting amount of trade goods.
Yes.
And their support for the throne to the Necro player. And
Yes.
they also attacked New Albion system with
Right
their
here
carrier.
with the with the remaining carrier here.
That's right. And what that ended up doing was Necro was able to score their
The unveil.
unveil.
Which, I mean,
Now,
upon reflection is like, why would SAR decide to do that with their carrier?
I think what it came down to was bargaining power.
Yes.
SAR was certainly paranoid of elimination.
Yeah, and I think we should take a sidebar there. It took about 5-10 minutes to look at the board to determine if it was actually possible for Necro, with all their tokens and infantry and ships, to have defeated all of SAR's planets and fully knocked them off the board. And I think we did investigate that it was possible.
Yeah. It
And
took
not out of the line possible,
perfect,
like proper possible.
it was proper possible. And it took the likes of chaos mapping, military support, and they just, I believe, just had enough tokens to pull it off.
Yeah, and just remember, Necro does have chaos mapping, which is what we're referring to here. They could build ships on their turn, or infantry, and invaded the what was it? The Kornik system, the Centauri system, and it beats Freya.
Yeah. So there was the path to elimination. Obviously, SAR, if they're eliminated, then they obviously have no chance to claim victory. So they're within their right to try to negotiate to stay alive. They did, I believe, they got a promissory note out of that exchange, which I would assume probably was the ceasefire.
Yes, that would make sense to me.
And so, I mean, in hindsight, obviously we have the benefit of hindsight here. I think I would have taken my chances.
Yeah, I don't.
Or
yeah,
I would have done. I would have left at least one of those things off the table. Like, I think all of them together were too much, right?
Yeah, because if we look
all
at
the
it,
trade goods plus the support plus attacking his flagship.
Yeah. That
yeah. And to me, as the SAR, from the SAR point of view, attacking the flagship, I think that's where I would have drawn the line, because that takes you out of the game. You lose your support for the throne. You have no ability now really to win, right? Because you can still get back to 13 with scoring developed weaponry, but now you're reliant on your secret objective, which,
I guess since he wasn't able to score it,
he wasn't able to score it. But also with what he has, I don't think there's anything scoreable, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have 4 of any kind.
No.
And I mean, all of the other objectives, control type or combat type, score maybe fleets to dust with a single PDS. I don't know. Pretty unlikely.
Yeah, you'd have to really hope that a carrier came by, or a cruiser came by or something.
Yeah. But some respect and definitely kudos to where it's due. I think Necro probably played some really great, negotiating and diplomacy to get what they wanted to win the game. So you got to give credit where credit's due, I think, as well.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the cost was too high, but Necro negotiated well, and with the risk of just being fully obliterated off the board. Yeah, but I guess I would have accepted the risk of Necro coming at me and hoping that this PDS would have staved off enough infantry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, congratulations, BotBot. Great game, and congratulations to all our. Yeah, see you in the final, and shout out, great game by the other competitors, Hunkwood Subfunk and Penulid Surter. Really appreciate it. It was fantastic. Thank you all.
Yeah, good job. And I think it was the first game to finish, right?
This was the first game to finish, yes.
Cool.
So congratulations on that as well.
All right, game number 2.
Game number 2. All right. This is with our boy Kazadoom on the SAR.
Yes, let's take a look at, yeah.
He was up against Big Al Cappuccino on the Federation of Seoul.
Yeah.
And Ramdos on the University of Jalnar. And quick overview of the scores here. Kazadoom with the win at 14 points, followed by Big Al 12 points and Ramdos with 11. And again, most stage 1 scored, with the exception of Jolnar missing on the Erecta Monument.
Mm-hmm. And then on stage 2, here we go.
We got the stage 2. There was obviously the incentive program agenda coming up, which passed with the against, giving us an additional stage 2, which everyone was able to score. And SAR and Jolnar on the unifying the colonies objective.
And SAR in this map is just everywhere.
Just all over the place.
It just blocked everything. Having that sun there was very helpful, I think.
Yeah. And that was pretty funny because when you look at the log, you can see in the map build, Jolnar puts that supernova as the very first tile between SAR and Mechatol. So definitely starting with some strong love.
Yeah.
But surprisingly peaceful game after that, I have to say.
He says while looking over here at the Seoul place.
Yeah, I mean, there, obviously by the end game, there's going to be some fighting, but I think majority of the game was, everyone was pretty cautious and kind of doing the ballet around each other. Mm-hmm. But you can see, Kazadoom, even though he's there, he doesn't control most of the planets. He's kind of just in the space area, right? And just keeping those space stocks under control.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah. Some other kind of notable victory points are SAR, has Jolnar's support for the throne. Jolnar has the crown.
Jolnar's support for the throne. See, again, with the support for the throne in a 3-player game.
Yeah, I've had recommendations that would say, maybe on next time in a 3-player tournament to ban supports altogether, which is an interesting idea. But I mean, it is part of the game, right? Like it's a game component. It's in the game. It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
Okay. Well, it happened.
Jolnar has the crown of Amphidia, giving them a point, and Seoul was the first on Mechatol. So they did have the custodians token.
So I guess in some way, each of them scored an extraneous point.
Yeah.
Ramdas from the crown, the token, and from support.
It's just with the aggression of SAR, Seoul was just unable, I think, to get the steam to score that additional stage 2 to round it off.
6 planets, yeah, he took them away, it seemed.
I mean, I think he had the trade goods, if you look, so it's kind of a bit of luck as well. If you want to open up the player tab.
Of course.
I think, because actually, if you look at the log, I think you'll see in the agenda phase, you won't see it in the log, but Seoul had quite a lot of trade goods, and then economic equality.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, there were no spend objectives anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But just interesting to see is that, Seoul, even though they were struggling with map presence, was still very much in the game, if a better or a stage 2 that was more in line with what they could play with came out. Yeah. So sometimes the luck of the draw gets you as well.
But I mean, when you have, so that is a good little sidebar, would be that agenda comes up, economic equality, at least for me on the app, a lot. I don't know if it's because it's just so far into mind because it's so risky that I'm always thinking, should I be spending my tokens or not?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think I err on the side of spend,
Mhm.
which may or may not be a good idea. What do you find, Halford?
I find I do it as well. I find that threat looming, and I've been burned by it. So I err on that side as well. I'll spend, when I can, and I do. That's one note I always keep track of is if, for example, economic equality has gone. If I know that agenda is passed, I make that note so that I know my trade goods are a little safer.
The notes. It's good.
Those notes.
Good suggestion there.
They could save a life. See, my favorite is actually if I see economic equality as being playing politics, and I put it on the bottom because then I know it's gone, but nobody else does.
That's an interesting point. I tend to when I've seen it and I see how much trade goes, I always make sure to spend them all.
And then
And if
leave
I
it on
see someone
top.
has a lot,
Yeah.
I'll put it on top.
I usually do that as well, but I've thought about, and I might have done it once or twice where I put it on the bottom because I'll use that strategic advantage of knowing that it's gone, and I can hold on to trade goods, but maybe other people might be nervous.
That's a good point. That's
How do you
honestly, I
feel
have
about
not
this
thought
SAR
that way.
ball over the
This
Mechatol?
Mechatol SAR ball.
Does that look to your
I'm
liking?
envious. I'm envious. I'm
Yeah,
playing
that is
SAR
the
right now in
SAR
a
ball.
3-player game. That's quite strong.
Mhm. This is a SAR ball done right. It
Yeah, I
looks
want to
like
see how many fighters are in there. 10. Yes. Yes. This is what you do when you SAR ball. You make as many fighters as possible, and then you put in a couple heavy hitters that will whittle everything down.
Now you'll remember Seoul obviously had Mechatol first, and I think something that worked out in SAR's favor here was Jolnar went for Mechatol first, and I believe he failed, but obviously in the process whittled down whatever Seoul had defending Mechatol, and I think that kind of gave SAR an edge to get in there and get a strong foothold on Mechatol, which he then used to catapult into Seoul's slice.
It is a consistent risk.
It's always tough to be the first one in a 3-player.
Especially when you're trying to take it from Seoul.
Yeah. Yeah. But I find in a 3-player, that's always the kind of ballet you end up playing, right? Is who goes first, because most of the time you don't want to be going in first.
Yeah,
leaves you
I
exposed to the third player who's been waiting.
Yeah, but when you're playing in a game with SAR who goes in and then can build, it's a tough gamble.
Yeah. If you want to, let's open the player tab one more time. I want to go over the tech path real quick. And you'll see on SAR a kind of unusual tech path, which is pretty interesting.
Did not get chaos mapping.
Did not get chaos mapping.
And also did not get any of the SAR faction abilities, which, you know what, I'm okay with. I skipped on chaos recently with SAR. It wasn't as useful as it could have been.
Yeah, it's pretty situational. It can obviously be powerful in the right moments. But I wanted to point out here is that SAR made a trade and actually got to use research agreements to get hypermetabolism. And then you'll see they followed up with a couple of green skips of their own to get X89. When do you see that? X89 on SAR?
On SAR. It was a good call. Like, again,
against
the
Soul,
right?
Infantry
are not going away until, X89 them. They should call it COVID-19.
There you go. Yeah, we should get petition the devs to.
They've already kind of had to have, they TW'd it because it's not completely, it's as close to rules written as it probably could be, but they could change it a little more time.
Yeah, get that. But yeah, I mean I think that threat, right, against Seoul is always a good one.
Yeah. Going down the blue skip of Light Wave.
They
Also
all,
very
yeah, and
good,
then
yeah.
they also got the light wave, and I think that helped them skip into their into Seoul's backyard there.
Yeah.
So again,
Well,
congratulations, Kazadoom. Good luck in the finals.
that was a very close game.
Very close game, and thank you again to our other semi-finalists, Big Al and Ramdos. Thanks for playing, and thanks for coming out, and thanks for giving us another great game.
All right. Yeah. The updates of games 1 and game 2. Hopefully games 3 through 6. They're
Yeah,
on a are they on a
they're
I
on
haven't
good
actually checked
pace.
them out this week.
Yeah, I had a look. They're on good pace. Most of them are into the stage 2 objectives at least, so they're doing well.
Good.
Looking forward to reviewing those games once they're done as well. We'll go through those games, and similar to how we did game 1 and 2. Well, I think we've spent enough time stalling in this timing window, so let's hit the pass button and keep the game moving.